Hi, everyone, and welcome to Confessions of an Autism Mom, the podcast. And I am back today with a new special guest. Her name is Dina, and she is here to share her experience and her journey with autism. So, how are you today, Dina?
I'm, I'm doing well. How are you, Amanda?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking, and thank you for sharing your story with us. I'm just thanking you ahead of time. So let's go ahead and jump right on into the interview today. Can you share a little about your family's journey with autism?
Yeah, so we are a military family, and we've been we've been sent so many places all over the world, and I'll just be honest. Like my oldest son is I guess this term right is level 1 autism or high functioning autistic, and there was always something that I noticed going on. Like he had those signs of lining up his cars everywhere, or especially he's a pacer, so he would just run back and forth, back and forth, back and forth for a really long period of time. And I kept asking the doctor, like, hey, I just noticed these things. Like, do you think maybe there might be something going on with him? But time and time again, the doctors would say, like, no, everything's fine. Everything's normal. He's meeting his milestones, and like he'll probably grow out of it. That was the one thing they would say to me over time, like over and over, is that he'll grow out of it. He'll grow out of it. And then finally, when we got orders to Colorado, I had a military doctor that started to listen to me, because I said he's still doing all these things that other we call them, our primary care doctors said he would grow out of, and he never did. He's still doing all of these things. The only thing that he stopped doing was lining stuff up, but the running has still continued. He's like very intolerant of loud noises. His speech is not like super delayed, but just, it's a noticeable amount of delay in his speech, but then he has really things that he's fixated on. So is there, like, what's going on? So the doctor said, oh, that sounds like he might have ADHD or autism. And they finally put in a referral for us to go see a developmental pediatrician. And a year later, because we were on a wait list for that long, they said, yes, he does have autism. And then they gave me the fire hose of information. And I was like, I don't even know
Where to start?
Yeah, at all. It was very confusing. And the only thing that came out of it was like, we started therapy. We did all the therapies, everything on the planet right away. And it was like, I don't know about everybody else, but I think together with all the therapies, we're in 36 hours of therapy a week. And I was like, this is a lot. And nobody, prepares you for that. And man, it took a really long time for him to get diagnosed. And then it took a really long time for my second son to get diagnosed, because I seen all the markers, and then I started seeing it with him too. And I was like, what's going on? And it was another like 6 to 8 month wait list. But thankfully I found out through the process that you can get a diagnosis from a psychologist. And I was like, why did nobody tell me this?
And that's what happened to me. Like everywhere was like on a year, 2-year wait. And I was like, this is impossible. And so I ended up calling like my god sister, and she was like, hey, I had a friend, she went to a private psychologist. So she was like, take him there. And I called a private psychologist, and we got in like less than 3 weeks. And I was like, so I do advise people, I'm like, if you're on a wait list, try to find a private psychologist in your area. That way you can go ahead and get in. So I do agree with that. I'm glad you had that experience as well.
Yeah.
So, and you only have 2 boys, right?
Just the 2 of them. Yeah. And my oldest is high level 1. And they said that my youngest is level 2, but I guess you can always go up, just not the opposite direction. So, yeah, but we're all done with therapy. So
that's amazing, because therapy can really be a lot, like you say.
Yeah.
How has being a military family impacted your experiences, like your experience raising them?
I mean, it's hard, right? Because a lot of autistic children and even autistic adults are very much into their routine, and they like their safe environments, and no change is good change. So like before we found out, because we were stationed in Hawaii before Colorado, and that was like another marker for me because we've been very lucky to live in Arizona for 7 years with my oldest son. So he's never known anywhere else except for Arizona. And then my husband went to Korea, and then after Korea, he got orders to Hawaii, and that move to Hawaii was like a ding, ding, ding. There's something really going on because he would just perseverate over going back home, which is Arizona, over and over. So for 7 months, he asked to go back home. He was like, this is not home. When are we going back to Arizona? We just over and over. And I was like, this is home now. Like we can't go back to Arizona. I'm so sorry. And then the same thing happened when we moved to Colorado because he'd gotten used to Hawaii at that point. And it was another 6 months of when are we going back home? When are we going back home? And I'm like, ugh, this is home. I'm sorry. And it's hard to, explain something like that because there's like, why do we have to move? It's like, because the military told us to do that. So we don't get a choice of where we move to. We just go where they tell us to go. And that was really, really hard.
I know. I can't imagine. And that was going to be like my next question. Like, how do you all balance like moving and then making them feel comfortable with the move? Because I know once they get set in a routine, like that's the routine that they expect. So how did the moving impact like everything? Like overall.
Right over. It's hard, right? No matter how much explaining I would do, we would talk about it a lot. I would share like social stories about it a lot. There's like so many books too that other military spouses have written about moving that are really, really great. But at the same time, it's like you can talk about it till you're blue in the face, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still going to be hard no matter what. But I try to do things that would incorporate the idea of moving because, oftentimes we get on an airplane or we'd have to get into a vehicle. So I would travel in our local area or like go to different places in country or, across the US to kind of get them prepared for like, yeah, we're going to have to do a 10-hour plane ride to Hawaii or, we're going to be in the car for the next 4 days because we're moving from, oh my God, we're moving from Colorado to Florida and we have to drive. So a lot of practice and a lot of social stories and talking about it. But it's still hard nonetheless. My youngest hates to fly, which is ironic because we travel so much, but he's like, I don't like the sensation in my stomach. And I'm like, I don't know, go to sleep. Like,
I know, and I was going to ask you, like, do they prefer the flight or the driving? Like our first couple of trips with Aiden, we would drive and he was cool. And then we took a flight and it was like, yeah, I don't think I ever want to fly again. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to take that experience away from him. So like, how does your oldest son, he likes to fly?
He is my travel buddy. Like he doesn't care. Like he's just like, wherever you want to go, I'm down for it. Like he loves to fly. He loves to drive. He loves cruising. The only thing we haven't done is a train. That's the only thing. But everything else he's been really great with. And my youngest, he hates driving. He hates flying. He loves cruising. He just doesn't want to get to the destination. Like he just wants to be in the destination. I'm like, if we could just develop teleportation, that would be really great. But we're not there yet. So like, I just take the journey takes me a way longer time than the average person to get there because I have to think about like I only have this amount of time before he's going to be like I'm finished. Like even a 7-hour drive, like we live in Florida, like I was telling you, Amanda, and we love to go down to Orlando, and that's it's about 7 hours from where I live, and I've got like about a 4-ish hour max in the car before he's like, okay, I need to stop somewhere. We're not driving anymore today. I'm like, okay. Right. Most people, they can get down to Orlando in a day, and it takes me about 2 days to get down there.
Yeah, that makes sense for them because they're like, I need a break. Yeah. Does the military like offer any like support groups for the parents with autistic kids? Like, do y'all know each other, get together, support one another?
Yes and no. So there's a lot of support groups that are made by military families on Facebook. Like I know there's I can't remember the name of it. I'm part of it though, but it's a military autism support group. So they help to like learn how to navigate getting through. Our insurance is called TRICARE, so using that insurance to pay for the therapies, like how to to get diapers covered by insurance, or like even they changed it. They're going to change it very recently in March, unfortunately. For us that have children that are higher functioning, we're no longer eligible for this, but they also explain like how to get respite, which the military will cover for a certain amount of hours, and for children that meet a certain criteria as far as their disability goes. But my kids are too high functioning, so they said that we can't use the service anymore. But yeah,
it's that. So I have recently seen like on Threads, a young lady was saying that they're trying to say level 1 or high functioning is not considered autism anymore. Does that fall up under what you're discussing?
Right. So basically, like they're saying that if your child is level 1 or level 2 and they are not high support needs, they won't cover respite services anymore. Okay. So like I used to get 40 hours a month for both of my boys, and someone would come in and watch them that was like certified through the military and has like all the trainings and everything. But now because my my stress with my children is not deemed worthy enough, I guess. They're only going to support families that have higher support needs, and adults too, which a lot of military members have children with disabilities that are still living with them as adults. And that was a service that they didn't cover before. So I think it's fair, but at the same time,
still may need that help. Yeah. I don't think that's fair, because I feel like autism is autism. It's the spectrum, and it's kind of like, why take it away, if a family needs it. So yeah. With you all traveling and moving often and basically like having to relocate with the military, you've turned that into a business, which is a great business. You assist people with traveling. Can you elaborate on that for me?
Yeah. So what happened is like I was in the service, but I got out because of my children. And if you know anything about military spouses, it's incredibly hard to maintain a career when your husband, or your spouse, I should say, is moving all around the world. And many states don't observe licenses or certifications from other states. So if I was a nurse, for example, or something like that, they wouldn't necessarily recognize that, and I'd have to get new credentials, and it can be really hard to work overseas. So I looked for a career that I could move with my spouse, but still have my career and not have to reinvent myself every time I move somewhere. So I stumbled on travel, and I did a little bit of it in the military, like with government travel. So I felt like I had a little bit of a leg up. But I started just as a basic travel agent, helping families across the board. And then my oldest son got diagnosed with autism, and I was looking for something that could help us as a family travel, because sometimes we do need support. Like I need an understanding hotel that's like, hey, my kid might be screaming and it's happy screams and squills, but like I don't want to offend our neighbors, but I also would like to have a section of the hotel that's quieter and maybe less guests over there, so I'm not disturbing as many people, because like sometimes he just needs to verbally stim, and that's just the bottom line. But we should still be able to travel, right? So I wasn't finding very much out there, or like other agents didn't really necessarily know like how to support families like ours to travel. So I said, well, dang it, if nobody else is doing this, I'm going to do it. So I pivoted my travel agency, and I started working with families with autistic children. And slowly I've been finding things like all-inclusives that are really accommodating, or cruise ships, or theme parks. Or if I just simply reach out to a hotel and say, hey, I've got this client and they've got blah, blah, blah needs. And these are the most important things that need to happen so that their vacation is safe and fun. Like, can you do this? And they're like, yes. So it's been really rewarding to work with other families and say like, yeah, it's truly possible. Even if your child has high support needs, it's really possible to travel if we can just discuss with either the tour operator that I'm working with or the hotel that you're booking, or like a theme park that's like, just make sure that we've got, just be aware of this child and the things that are going on with them. It can be done. And I've been really thankful that families have been trusting me to plan their trips because, like I said, it's really, I think travel's for anybody, no matter their ability.
And I love that because that's a role that you play in the autism community that I don't see a lot. And I was talking to someone last night and I was expressing to them, like, I love how all of the moms, we play different roles in the autism community because for me, I'm not a giver resource type person, but I am the type of person, like, I am here to motivate moms to let them know it's okay, still be yourself, take care of yourself with self-care. And for us to have you, that is amazing because that's the most important thing when we travel. Like, I know after our trip with us flying, we ended up getting a hotel, but we normally do an Airbnb. But sometimes you may not be able to do an Airbnb. So I think it's important to have someone that can curate those things for us and speak with the hotel and say, hey, put them on the other end of the hotel so they won't disturb anybody because the kid may be screaming, and it's not anything bad. So we do appreciate you for that too, for like taking your time and like putting that effort out for us. What is one thing that you wish people understood about raising a child with autism as a military family?
One thing. I wish that people wouldn't necessarily lump everybody with autism in one basket. Like, like as Black women, we're not a monolith, and that's the same thing with autism, right? Like, I can't remember who said it right now, but like, I think it's true that everybody's autism presents differently. So once you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism, and even my boys are like completely night and day. They my oldest couldn't be the quietest person on the planet Earth. You wouldn't even know he's there. Yeah. My youngest is the loudest one in the room who hates noise the most.
I can say that. Like, my son is the loudest person in the house, but as soon as we're loud, he's like, please stop. Like, that is the funniest thing to me. Like, you're loud and I can't be loud, or nobody else.
Right? Like, what?
It's like, what? Yeah, so I love to hear. How do your boys get along? Because I always see like different families, they'll post their autistic kids and you'll see them fighting. Do they like get in like sibling rivalries and things like that?
They do fight a lot. And I think it's the whole thing. Like, my youngest is like, be quiet, don't talk to me, don't look at me, like, leave me alone. And my oldest is like, I literally can't stop bothering you because of how his reaction fuels my oldest to keep bothering him. And they have a 6-year age gap. So my oldest is 13 and my youngest is 7. So it's like, oh my gosh, just leave your little brother alone. And he just can't. He cannot. But then at the same time, like, they fight so much, but then they get along so well. Like, my oldest couldn't be the most responsible person on the planet Earth. Like, he, like, if I'm not feeling well, he'll take over, which is amazing. Like, I was really, really sick the other day, and my oldest was like, just silently, he didn't say anything. He just silently put his brother in the bath. He got the bath ready for him. He did everything. And I was just like,
oh, I love that.
Okay, sir. He's really amazing. Or he'll like read him books, or just he'll make them eggs, which I'm just like, yes, or just whatever. Like, he's just a little responsible teenager, and I'm just like, oh, I did that. Okay, great.
Yeah. I love that. And so you mentioned that there is a 7-year age gap between the two. Have you seen a difference like within the autism community and basically like with services like ABA, speech, like all of those different therapies? Have you seen a difference, like maybe more growth in it?
Okay, I'll put it this way. I have not seen growth so much, but I have seen a difference in how ABA is done between states. I preferred ABA in Colorado so much more because it was very much like play-based, and the therapists were like really into our lives and like really, trying to get to know us. And there was no punishments in ABA in Colorado, and it was just like so easy. And I was constantly like, we were literally like hand in hand team members. But then when we got to Florida, and that's part of the reason why I pulled them out, because I just didn't like the way ABA is done here in Florida, and it wasn't play based here, if that makes any sense. Like it was very much like I wouldn't say punishment, but it was just like things were being taken away. And like I know that we do that as parents normally, but I was just like, I don't know. It was more effective in Colorado than it is here. So yeah, I don't know.
And that's how Aiden's ABA is more play-based, and it's not a punishment situation. And I think that is the biggest disconnect in the autism community, because we have people that are experiencing punishment. Mm-hmm. And then you have the ones of us that are like, oh, we love ABA therapy. And that's because we're experiencing play-based. So yeah, that's good to hear and know. So what has been the most rewarding part of your journey?
I think it's been like not only getting to be a mom to like these two amazing little kids, but also seeing like the things that I've done and the decisions that I've made as far as helping them turn into, adults ultimately. Like you always think I'm doing a terrible job. I'm like the worst mother on the planet Earth. And then the little things that you see, like my oldest son being so responsible for his brother, and he doesn't have to be. He's like still a child, but seeing that and just like, okay.
So rewarding. Yeah. I love that. I'm still on him, like helping you, like give him a bath and cook and things like that. And that gives us hope. Honestly, like I love to hear the stories of like older kids that are in teenagers and adults, because it's kind of like, yes, give me a little hope that I have something to look forward to. And I know things are different per child, but it does make it exciting and like, oh my God, this could possibly happen. So as we come to an end, what is your confession as an autism mom?
Oh my God. I didn't think about this one at all. I think that we shouldn't, I've never held my children back from doing anything that they want to do. And I've always believed that, people tell me that, maybe they won't be able to do this, or maybe they won't be able to do that, or whatever. And I've always said, whatever they want to do, they can do it. And I'm going to be in their back corner no matter what. Like my youngest wants to be, he wants to work for NASA. And I was like, I don't know if NASA will be around by the time you're an adult, but if that's what you want to do, we'll find a way. I don't ever want to hold my children back. And that's not even with all my stuff going on, like I'm going to let them soar outside of me.
And that's so important, because it starts at home with them completing their dreams. It's like, if we as parents like push our kids to their full potential, like that's very rewarding. And I know some parents may say, oh, he's autistic or she's autistic, and they're not going to be able to do it. You tell everyone where they can find you on social media, your business platform, website, or anything. And I'm also going to put it in the description, you guys. So she's going to tell you first.
Awesome. Yep. So you can find me at www.spectrumgetaways with an S at the end.com. And I live on Instagram and Threads. I think that's where we found each other, Amanda, was on Threads. And it's also, Instagram.com/Spectrum Getaways. I'm on Facebook. I'm just not super active on there, but Instagram and Threads are where you can find me. I live there. And I if you don't mind, Amanda, I just wrote a book as well that yeah, I'm so excited about that one. And it's
congratulations.
Thank you. It's all about traveling with your autistic child. So it's just a little children's book to really help as far as the social stories goes to travel with your autistic child. And you can find that on Amazon. I'll give you the link for that. So it's super exciting.
What? Congratulations on your book. I didn't even know that. We do need that book, and I am going to support and purchase that book because I need to know and I need to read because I really want to travel with my baby. So, yes, everyone get her book. I'm going to put it in the description with the link for it, okay? So I do want to thank you for coming on and trusting me with your story and for you sharing your story. Everyone, this is Dina, and make sure you visit her site, Spectrum Getaways, and also her book. And thank you all for joining us this week